Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Bitcoin and cryptocurrency video. In today's video we will be providing an update on the Bitcoin dominance and explaining why it is now such an important metric going into the next bull market. If you like this type of content, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, as it means oh so much to me. And if you are a fan of cryptocurrency, I have a cryptocurrency shop where you can shop cryptocurrency products. I'll leave a link in the description down below so you can get a nice 20% discount off your next purchase. So, without a further ado, let's begin. And it's been a while since I've provided an update on the Bitcoin dominance. You can see that it's essentially gone sideways over the last few weeks or so. You know, we had a couple of weeks downtrend. We had that massive spike up when Bitcoin dropped like 5%, and then altcoins dropped like 20%. That was this spike right here, and the Bitcoin dominance pierced through that 57% level. Since then, the Bitcoin dominance put in a couple red candles and is now recovering from that drop. So I just want to give a brief update on the Bitcoin dominance because I do believe it is such an important metric, especially right now in this part of the cycle, because what it means is that understanding the Bitcoin dominance allows you to proactively understand how risk-adjusted returns work within the cryptocurrency asset class. Yeah, there's no point putting your money into altcoins if the collective altcoin market is going to underperform against Bitcoin. That is essentially what the Bitcoin dominance is. And you can see from this chart, this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Excluding stable coins, this chart looks even better, but the Bitcoin dominance chart is inclusive of stable coins because it's Bitcoin against every other cryptocurrency out there. So as it stands, the Bitcoin dominance is at 54.89% market share of the whole cryptocurrency asset class market cap. The Bitcoin dominance has been in an uptrend since August, September of 2022. So it has essentially been a year and a half of uptrend for the Bitcoin dominance. As I mentioned before, if you exclude stablecoins, because as the years go on, stablecoins do play a massive part within the cryptocurrency asset class. I'd say especially this cycle, I wouldn't say too much last cycle because the last cycle was only USDT. But this cycle that has just passed, there were many stablecoins that do take up a significant amount of market share. I mean, USDT alone is at number 3 market cap. And then you got Binance stablecoin, you got the Coinbase stablecoin. There's just so many stablecoins out there now. It's just ridiculous because it takes up a bit of market share and it doesn't paint the true reflection of the Bitcoin dominance against altcoins themselves. So if you actually exclude stablecoins, this percentage is obviously a lot higher. Not dramatically a lot higher, but it is a lot higher. I just wanna get that point out there, just so you guys understand why the Bitcoin dominance is so bullish. And if you have been watching my videos, you will understand where my bias lies when it comes to the Bitcoin dominance. And it's fairly simple, really, because when it comes to the Bitcoin dominance, I believe the Bitcoin dominance is an artifact of where we are within the monetary policy. So when looking at interest rates, and this is a very clear indication as to where the Bitcoin dominance could go in the near future, or it could go in the long term, it is due to monetary policy. And obviously, if interest rates are very high, that means we are in a strict economic environment. And if interest rates are low, we are in a loose monetary environment where the Fed is printing. We only have 2 examples of this because Bitcoin was evidently created back in 2009. And ever since 2009, there was loose monetary policy from 2009 to 2016, and then from 2016 is when we had that first business cycle, which is this business cycle right here. And then we also have this business cycle, which also started in 2022. So When looking at interest rates in comparison to the Bitcoin dominance, you can see that whenever the Bitcoin dominance goes down, that is when interest rates are also low. So from last cycle, you can see that the Bitcoin dominance dropped in 2018 when interest rates were at decently high levels, but not restrictive levels. Yeah. Once the Fed started to restrict to the point where the economy caught up to these rate hikes, that is when the Bitcoin dominance started to go up. When the Fed then decided to turn the money printer back on, you can see that also coincided with this point right here. And I don't know why my paintbrush is not working. Let's just try this. I'm not sure why the paintbrush isn't working, but that's fine. You can see that when we had this alt season, back to where my cursor is right now, in the beginning of 2021, end of 2020, that came because of looser monetary policies, and you can see that interest rates were at their lows. They were essentially at 0%. Now, when the Fed started to hike again, the Bitcoin dominance was bottoming out right here in 2022, but when the economy started to catch up to the sufficient rate hikes of the Fed, that is when the Bitcoin dominance started to go into an uptrend. So it is easily classified to understand that the Bitcoin dominance has a correlation with the monetary policy. When we're experiencing quantitative tightening, the Bitcoin dominance is likely to go up because liquidity from the higher risk assets will then flow into the lower risk assets. In crypto's case, liquidity from the altcoins will make their way and make shift to give space to the king, Bitcoin. That is just how it works, and you can see it clearly through this chart of interest rates overlaid by the Bitcoin dominance. Now, when you translate it to the charts and you're comparing Bitcoin USD against Total 2, and by Total 2 I mean the cryptocurrency asset class's market cap excluding Bitcoin. So it has every other cryptocurrency out there except for Bitcoin. And if I just hide this Bitcoin dominance right here, we have here what is known as Total 2, as previously mentioned. That is a cryptocurrency asset class excluding Bitcoin. One way we can translate this on the chart is by seeing how well it is performing against Bitcoin USD. Right? That's one of the ways to see how strong Bitcoin is in comparison to the rest of the market. So, if we go to where we are currently, and by measuring this against the bull market support band, and the bull market support band is just a moving average, is composed of the 20-week SMA and 21-week EMA, we can see or use it as a benchmark to see how well it is performing. So, let me give you an example. Total 2 is essentially only, give or take, just shy of 6% away from its bull market support band. Yeah, it's 5.87% away. And bear in mind that it has already backtested the bull market support band as support numerous times. You can see that clearly, right? Now, if we go to Bitcoin USD and we take a look at Bitcoin USD against its bull market support band, how far away is Bitcoin USD against its bull market support band? So, if we take it from here and go to the bull market support band, which is at this level right here, you can see that it is essentially just shy of 10% away. So, just to be specific, it is 9.54% away from the bull market support band. So, what does this tell us? This tells us that Bitcoin has more of a freedom to go to the downside, whereas all the other cryptocurrencies don't. Yeah, all the other cryptocurrencies are only 5 to 6% away, whereas Bitcoin is 9 to 10% away. Bitcoin can drop 5% and is still slightly above its bull market support band, whereas all the other cryptocurrencies won't be. If they drop 5%, they're at their bull market support band. So do you see how strong Bitcoin is in comparison to all the other cryptocurrencies. That's just how it works. That's just how it is. And I also want to show you, because we're at this part of the cycle and I don't think individuals understand this. So I'm going to give a couple of examples where Bitcoin USD can go down and the Bitcoin dominance can still go up. That is when altcoins just get disgustingly wrecked. And it's happened quite recently, actually, to the point where Bitcoin USD has gone down right here. You can see, 4 weeks in a row, and Bitcoin USD has essentially just gone sideways for the last month and a half right here. But what has the Bitcoin dominance done? Since this point where Bitcoin USD has gone sideways, look at the Bitcoin dominance. It has gone from 52%, poked out to 57, but it's currently at 54, just shy of 55%. You can see it clearly. Bitcoin USD sideways, if not down, and Bitcoin dominance is up only. Do you understand? It's happened many a times. I mean, I can find prior examples as well, where if we go here, Bitcoin USD was going sideways for at least 3 to 4 weeks right here. But what was the Bitcoin dominance doing? Going up. Multiple examples. Multiple examples. And this is very closely linked to the cycle in 2019 as well. Because if you look in 2021, which was known as the elusive bull run, and known as the elusive alt season, which I don't think we're going to get anytime soon. If we look back in 2019, you can also see that when Bitcoin USD was going sideways, if not down, going back to its bull market support band, what was the Bitcoin dominance doing? It was just going up. Do you understand? This is why I believe we're at this part of the cycle. Because if we also overlay this with interest rates and we set a new price scale, you can see that is when we was also experiencing a rate hiking cycle. So it just makes sense that we are at the part of the cycle like we was in 2019 instead of 2021. Yeah. Another way you can utilize the Bitcoin dominance chart and understand its importance is by looking at the Ethereum Bitcoin pairing. Yeah. And I've been very vocal about the Ethereum Bitcoin pairing because it is one of the most cyclical charts you can see. It's probably the easiest chart to read. Like, even a 5-year-old would be able to read this chart because you have many cyclical patterns that happen every cycle, but they just gradually get longer and longer. The cycles get longer and longer as time goes on. So let me show you what I mean. If we go back to Ether Bitcoin's first cycle, you can see a cyclical pattern where Ether Bitcoin likes to throw this 1-2 punch, but in between that 1-2 punch you get a mid-term dip. So you got your 1 punch right here, you got your 2 punch right there, and you got your mid-cycle dip right here. After the second punch follows a downtrend to that mid-term dump, followed by an uptrend and then a capitulation. The same happened in the cycle after that, where you get a 1 punch, you get a 2 punch, and bear in mind the first punch is always the hardest. It is the jab that is the hardest. And then in the midterm you get a dump, which is this move right here. Following the second punch, you go into a downtrend, followed by an uptrend, and then capitulation. Heading over to this cycle right now, you've had your 1 punch right here, your 2 punch, and notice how the first punch is always harder than the second punch. You then have your mid-term cycle dip. After the second punch, you go into a little downtrend, followed by an uptrend, and then capitulation. Do you understand how that works? It's fairly simple, right? It is very easy to understand, but it just happens on a longer time frame. Do you understand? So When looking at the charts, especially if you look at how these charts behave, and it's always when ETH takes out that midterm bottom, that is when things start to get spicy for the Ether Bitcoin pairing. And it's also great to understand the Ether Bitcoin pairing because ETH holds a lot of the market share within the cryptocurrency asset class. So if Ether Bitcoin bleeds significantly, that will majorly pump Bitcoin. I mean, when comparing a crappy altcoin with a tiny market cap in comparison to the Bitcoin dominance, it won't affect it because of how small the market share is of that altcoin. Whereas when you compare Ethereum, and Ethereum is known as the index of altcoins, Ethereum plays a big part with regards to the market share of the cryptocurrency asset class. So when Ethereum Bitcoin bleeds, that goes heavily into Bitcoin's favor, thus the Bitcoin dominance increases. So when Ether Bitcoin starts to break this trend line right here, and if I just put an accurate trend line right here, you can see that now the Ethereum Bitcoin pairing has had multiple closes below this 0.49 range, which is this point right here. And whenever Ether Bitcoin starts to take out this midterm range, that is when the capitulation ensues for the altcoin market. So that is why I'm of the opinion that the Bitcoin dominance will look to continue to rise. Do I know exactly when the Bitcoin dominance will top? Of course, no. But you'd have to assume that as the monetary policy is continuing to constrict within the economy, as interest rates are higher for longer, you'd have to assume that altcoins will continue to bleed against Bitcoin. That is just a fact. Yeah. As the economy is tightening, liquidity from the higher risk assets will flow into the lower risk assets and altcoins will bleed into Bitcoin. With that being said, once we get looser monetary policies, that is when we should look to see once the Ether Bitcoin pairing will bottom out. And it's funny because once that pairing bottoms out, that is when individuals are going to say, oh, Ether Bitcoin pairing is going to fall all the way down to 0.2, 0.1. But no, Ethereum Bitcoin would have already bottomed by then. We're close. Once we get that first rate cut, that is when I believe Ethereum Bitcoin will bottom out. Because if we also overlay Ethereum Bitcoin with interest rates, last cycle, when did it bottom out? When did Ethereum Bitcoin bottom out? It bottomed out on the second rate cut. Yeah. The first rate cut, it capitulated. But the second rate cut is when Ethereum Bitcoin bottomed out. And I'm of the opinion that we will get some rate cuts in the summer. We'll get one definitely in the summer, and the second one probably towards the end of summer, start of autumn. And that is when I believe the Ethereum Bitcoin pairing will finally collapse. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the Bitcoin dominance video. If you did, smash that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button. And as always, it's been your boy, J1 General. Thank you and goodbye.